those people that first year, we didn't know, we had no TV coverage like Chris was providing, Channel 19 to 43. We didn't have radio, we had some website stuff and all, but we feel they kind of got short shrift on that. So I'd like to just go through real quickly the people of the inaugural class and just tell you, it was a big class of 13, so I'll start fast, but they're really important people who should get some recognition. First is a friend of Richard, a very good friend of Richard Fleischman's from the Hungarian community, Jenny Brown. Jenny Griselli Brown was that first year. Very deserving member of the Hungarian community. The second person was someone that I guarantee only one table knows. His name was Dr. Do. And he was Vietnamese. And Yao Ryan and Joe Meiser and their Friendship Foundation brought hundreds of people over from Vietnam to settle in Cleveland. So Dr. Do, back then, was the only medical professional they had. He spoke the language, he treated them, the only one they trusted. He did so much work for the community. While you have some big names in the Hall of Fame, it's very important to have the people like Dr. Do, who really helped their community, that are important, to be inducted as well. So he was there. We did research and found German heritage is the largest in Ohio. So many different German groups, Donna Schwaben and various Bavarian groups and all. The unifying events needed to be Oktoberfest. And the guy who ran that and is still running it to this day is Bob Haas. And Bob is with us here today. Next was Helen Karpinski, who, for you political people, know that name. The Karpinski names, Mercedes, Diana, and Gloria followed it up. In 1939, she ran for Cleveland City Council in, about 88th and Superior. That was the old 21st Ward. Tony, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you weren't around at 39, but no, okay. But it was historic. She was the first woman running for Cleveland City Council. She didn't win that one, but she paved the way. She was very important to the Polish community, helping to establish and maintain the Polish cultural garden. So. Then we come to what I call a double threat guy, Alex Machaski. And Alex, who is here with us tonight, he's a double threat because he would be inducted in the Hall of Fame just for his work in the Serbian community. His intercultural missions, his bringing in choirs and events and organizations, his work with his son Lex in the Serbian Cultural Garden. You have to visit that garden. Every year they have a new bust. And it's not, you learn a lot. You learn about Einstein's wife, who was Serbian, who may have been smarter than Einstein. So Alex definitely for his Serbian work. But as publisher of The Plain Dealer, he had vision, and he knew how important ethnic communities and ethnic people were to Cleveland. And he established this section called Mosaic. How many of you remember Mosaic? Yeah, it was fantastic, and he put different groups up there and featured the ethnic community. So Alex is a double-duty Fred inductee. And then the Irish. The Irish are a large and proud community in Cleveland, and there's a lot of groups. Maggie Lynch back there can tell you how many different Irish groups there are. There's probably 30-some or more. And then my sister Debbie was president of the Irish American Club East Side, but the West Side group was older and larger, and so you couldn't really compete. You needed something unifying there. There were the Hibernians and other groups. So we looked for someone who was unifying, and it was a no-brainer to induct a lady named Lonnie McCauley, who passed away tragically years ago. Beginning with her thesis, which was the Irish director of Greater Cleveland, she was the greatest promoter of Irish culture and history that we had. She was the Grand Marshal of the 2001 St. Patrick's Day Parade, the first woman ever to be Grand Marshal of the parade. First Irish-American archivist at the West Reserve Historical Society, Irish Famine Memorial Committee. If you go to the Flatiron Cafe and you look across, you see that 11-ton Celtic cross in the flats, honoring the victims of the famine and those who had to emigrate because of the famine. That was a lot of Lonnie's work. She helped found the Padre Pierce Center, first Irish-American library, all these things. She's taken away from us way too young, but Lonnie McCauley was a terrific first inductee from the Irish community. And she was a family member. Irene Morrow was in that first class. Irene Morrow is always associated with Mayor Perk. She served as Secretary of the Civil Service Commission of the City of Cleveland. First Lady Margaret Bush honored Irene as one of the 40 outstanding women of Ohio. She's had all kinds of awards, from the Bologna Foundation, Polish Woman of the Year, Polish Person of the Year, all of that. But probably we know Irene best lately for her role with the American Nationalities Movement. And that was started by Ralph Perks Sr., and they merged with Captive Nations Week, which President Eisenhower and every president since has recognized. And Irene was various offices in the A&M, but served as president for a long time and kept that important organization going. So Irene is with us here tonight. Over there is August Boost, who you should spend some time with. He has worked for mayors, senators, governors, and even presidents of the U.S. He is a walking encyclopedia of international relationships. He has worked on trade missions, cultural exchanges, everything to do with ethnic heritage. And sometime ask him, he was born in Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia. When he came here in 57, August, he tells a story of when he first saw the Statue of Liberty, and it'll give you chills. So sometime grab August Boost, buy him a cup of coffee, and ask him about seeing the Statue of Liberty when he came here in 57. It's really good. Thank you. Paul Sharia, some of you may know him as arguably the first TV investigative reporter before the I-Team, before Carl Mundy was Paul Sharia. But he's best known as the editor and owner of La Gazzetta Italiana. He was the voice of the Italian-American community. And then there's Paramjit Singh, who, Linda is ill tonight, so he couldn't make it. He's been a community leader, one of the first Indians in Cleveland, arrived in '62. With the Cleveland Council on World Affairs, he had the first India Republic Day event. It was the 13th Republic Day back then. He helped establish the India Association of Cleveland. He made history at Case Western Reserve. He was the first turban Sikh to be a graduate of Case Western Reserve in '65. So instead of the mortarboard, he wore his turban. And he was the one who said, hey, this country has given us so much, let's give back. The Indian community is doing pretty good. And he went and talked to the leaders at FICA, and they came up with their own Project Sewa, not to be confused with Shree's Sewa. And at that first induction ceremony, Paramjit got up and ad-libbed this song, I Love Cleveland in the Springtime, from the old Paris thing, and it's really cool. George Voinovich was one of those no-brainers. Again, Ohio House of Reps, County Commissioner, Mayor, Senator, Governor, all those things. He's really important in strengthening and enlarging NATO when he was a senator, all kinds of national security politics. But he was a good combination. He had a Serbian father, and Alex will claim George is completely Serbian, and August will claim him as Slovenian because his mother was Slovenian. George's father actually worked in what was then the Yugoslav Garden in the 30s, and his mother was Slovenian, and he's from Collinwood. And what he would always say, I think many of you have heard him say this, he has found over the years that people who are proud of their ethnic heritage are great Americans. And that's so true. So, two more people. This one you may know, he was inducted posthumously, Leo Weidenthal. Back in the early 1900s, he was the editor of the Cleveland Jewish Independent. He was the founder of the Cleveland chapter of the National Conference of Christians and Jews. And because of him, Cleveland was one of the first cities in the country to have a chapter of that conference. He's also a Shakespeare fan and a reporter. And in 1916, it was the 300th anniversary of the death of Shakespeare. So he goaded the city into having some of this land, Rockefeller Park, turned into a Shakespeare garden. And then through his journalistic and speaking prowess, he said, you know, we should have the city should give land for other gardens. They should be dedicated to the nationality communities. So then I took some time. In 1926, they started the Cultural Garden League, and then there was the Hebrew Garden, and the whole Cleveland Cultural Garden and the Federation began. So Leo Weidenthal is the guy behind that. and his kids were there 10 years ago. And the final person, and alphabetically, it's, you know, it's a shame, but Margaret Wong, who's in New York tonight, who sends her regards. She's built Margaret W Wong and Associates into probably the premier immigration and nationality law firm in the country. She's an Ellis Island Medal recipient. She's won every award you can win. She was the first Asian American president of one of the Federal Bar Association chapters. Just, she's been everything. And if she hasn't already supported one of your efforts, one of your ethnic efforts, look to your left, look to your right, and I guarantee you she supported one of those, because she is the greatest supporter of ethnic programs in Cleveland we have. So that's the 2010